Hey everyone, this is going to be more of just kind of like a gushing kind of video. I'm just going to talk about writing, specifically because the word writing can be really scary to people, and that makes me really sad because writing is such an amazing thing. Like, I think writing is one of the most important things that someone can learn. It's a new way to express. It's a new way to communicate. Like, writing is everything, and you can definitely use it to your advantage. I believe writing is a higher form of self-expression, and I think that's special. And there are so many people who are interested in writing stories, but when they're told about like writing in school, it's fearful. Like, people are like, well, I don't like writing. And that's fine. That's totally normal. But there is always a desire to create. There's always a desire to build something. And anyone can write a story. Everyone can tell a story. And I think that's something that is just so human about us. And I think that is really cool. Storytelling is an extension of yourself. Like, you can make a whole universe in your head and then write about it, and then even like have a job to do that with people. Something I really like about storytelling is that it forces you to get uncomfortable. You have to sit with your own emotions, and then you have to deliver, and you have to problem solve, and I think that's a great way to self-express. The way it makes people vulnerable, it's almost like a rush that I get when I've written short stories. It to be like, hey, I did this, and then to have like someone else read that creation, knowing that they're going to pass judgment, is like a huge vulnerable thing. And so it's totally normal to like have the desire to create, but then like want to keep it to yourself and be like, ooh, no, I'm not ready. I don't want people to read this yet. The other really cool thing about storytelling is that it helps us connect to each other. If I told a story and then you heard it, you might be able to say, well, I didn't have that experience, but here's something close to it. And that's how we kind of communicate, and it's a really cool way to build relationships with people. I want people to be able to take that instinct of wanting to share stories with people and be able to transform that into this like written expression and really master that craft, because it's such a worthwhile thing to have. You create it, it's yours, it's your own. And I think that's special. Here's the big problem. I'll have a lot of my students who want to talk about writing a novel, and I think that's amazing. I will push for that. I will support you. I will read. But doing that at a young age, because I tried to write a novel too when I was in like 7th grade, I didn't get very far into it because you have this moment of desire to do it and then it kind of fizzles out, and that's really sad. But here's what I would suggest for those of you who have that desire, or even if you want to just start with something small, is to do that. Start with something small. Most short stories are between 1,000 to 1,500 words. To keep that in mind, that's like 4 to 6 pages if it's double spaced. The problem is that a lot of people want to start with something huge and then it's harder to actually get that done. Start with something small like a short story, and then you can say, yes, I did it, and that can give you that motivation and that practice to actually see a story through. So many people get intimidated by the thought of a novel because they're working on it and then they don't finish it. Like, so if you do have an idea for a novel, that's great, maybe you've started it, it's okay to keep that idea and put it in your back pocket and then just let it resonate with you until you're ready to actually tell that story, or if you can tell that story. And if that's too much, like a 4 to 6 page story, that can be hard to do as well. Start even smaller. You can definitely do something called flash fiction. That's typically going to be a story that's 1,000 words or less. It's a really cool way, it's a really good exercise to give a novice, brand new writer a challenge, but it's also a really good challenge for someone who considers themselves to be an expert writer or an accomplished writer. And if that's still too intimidating, go even smaller. You can still do poetry, you can do free verse, no rules, nothing. Just start with something small and complete that. And I try to tell this to my students, you can write a book one letter at a time. It is a mountain, but you have to climb it, but it's going to be a slow climb, but it's so worthwhile once you have something done. So starting with something small, like a poem, is a great way to start those building steps to where you can gain those skills and gain that confidence so you guys can write more. I hope this helped you guys. Don't be afraid to learn. Bye, guys.